Hi, I'm John Donovan. I'm the New Democratic Party candidate for Mountain View. I've lived in the riding for 30 years and have spiritual and family ties there. I've raised my two daughters, and right now I'm retired and looking after my granddaughter, and that's a real pleasure to see every day the newness of life through her eyes. And one of the main reasons I'm running is to make life better for her in the future, because I think things need to change, and they need to change for the better. There are so many key issues in this election right now, it's hard to pinpoint some. Further education is one that is a huge issue. The cost of housing as it relates to further education and as it relates to poverty is another huge issue. The environment itself, I am very concerned, especially for my granddaughter, as to global warming. And when we've got something like the tar sands, which is the worst polluter in Canada right now, and they're gearing up to do more, I have huge concerns about that and what we can do about it. So the issues are many, and there was just three that I touched on. Some of the solutions that the New Democratic Party has come up with is, for students, we'd like to roll back their tuition fees to $2,000 and freeze it at that, so they can at least get a balance on there. We want to bring in bursaries and other incentives so people don't have to go in such huge debt when they're coming out. One of the things I would like to see personally, and this is not an NDP proposal at present time, but I would like to work on it, is that if a person gets their education in Alberta and works in Alberta, I'd like to see them be able to use half their student loan as tax write-off over the next 10 years. I'd like to see that, because we need the workers here, and once a worker's been here and set down roots and got a family going, they're going to stay. So what better way to keep them here? And that would also reduce their, at least they know their loan's going to get paid off to quite an extent. So that's one thing I would like to see personally happen. With the tar sands, the NDP did call for a moratorium on them, and although that's not their policy now, I think it was a very good thing to do. The tar sands needs to be planned, and the Conservative government did not plan it at all. They gave carte blanche for anybody who wanted to come in, and that is why we've got this hectic pace throughout of all Alberta. That's why we're short of tradespeople, and it was not the way to do business. And we need to rethink that and see how it can go. As for the royalties, if you've got a party that knows for 5 years that we're getting underpaid on royalties, and if the royalties were at the level of what Alaska gets, we'd have got an extra $1 billion for the last 5 years. That could have gone a long way to cure some of the problems we have now. The problems with healthcare are huge. Healthcare in the 90s, the Conservative government blew up one hospital and closed 2 downtown hospitals. They laid nurses off, and they cut down on the number of nursing positions to be trained and doctors' positions to be trained, and now they're wondering why they're in such trouble. It's obvious they should have never done that. We would like to see, as the ND party, incentives to get people into work here, especially immigrant people when they have trouble getting internships. We would like to streamline that and see these good workers coming from abroad to be able to work. My main passion is for the people who are handicapped. I worked with people who are handicapped for 23 years, and what I've seen of that profession and the way it's been starved of money, it's criminal in my mind. It's absolutely criminal. People who work at the same job I worked as a frontline worker, they can actually qualify for a home from Habitat for Humanity. And that is absolutely ridiculous. $13.15 starting pay is absolutely terrible, because these are the people who are assisting the marginalised people to fit in society, to be part of society, and that is what society should be reflected on. What we do with the least of our people is how we should reflect on society, and it's criminal what's happening right now. The $38 raise for AISH it's a slap in the face. It's an absolute insult. That should have been at least $500, and the NDP wished to move to the market basket measure immediately and index it to inflation. And I think if you saw it, the market basket measure, it would be at least $500 or maybe even $800 more than what they're getting now. As for the extra $500, the extra $100 on the $500 they're allowed for to earn, that again should have been at least $1,000 they're allowed to earn. Like those kind of things, the people on assured income for severely handicapped really do need, and they need it now. And so that's one thing they need to do. As with affordable housing, the Conservative government don't want to put rent controls in because they say that will stop anybody building affordable housing. Who's going to build affordable housing? It's going to be the federal government and the provincial government putting money in, and maybe the municipalities putting money in, or land, or both, to build. It won't be private. On rent controls, the NDP party would like to see rent controls come in. They would like to people get 2% plus inflation once a year. That's the only time they're allowed to put it up. There's a small carousel with that, is if there's a major maintenance on the building, but in theory that's how much they'd like to put it up. So that would be about 5% a year people would be allowed to put up. If that was brought in 5 years ago, it would have straightened things out and done everything well. What I can't understand about the Conservative government is the lack of common sense, the lack of foresight. Like Saskatchewan and BC have public auto insurance. Their insurance costs are $300 to $400 cheaper than ours. If we bring it in, ours would come down that much. And as for Ed Stelmach saying that with the drop of the soft tissue injury, the $4,000 that was the cap that was struck down by the government as unconstitutional, he's telling us that our interest rates are going to go up another $200 from where they are now. And they're really high. So that and an average family would save them about $400. On the Green Plan, we would like to see a fund, the NDP party that is, would like to see a fund set up for homeowners to be able to convert their energy into green energy. So this would work as an interest-free loan, and an interest-free loan on solar panels. People in Ontario use the design, save about 1/3 on the electricity. That 1/3 could probably start paying that loan off, in fact, pay most of the loan off, and it would save the environment. It's a win-win situation for everybody. So I would really like to see that coming in. And that's one of the reasons I'm running again, is because the NDP party have the ideas, they have the plan, they have the proven track record in other provinces that we can do it. So that's why I think people should vote for the NDP. Yeah, in summary, and I think one of the things people's got to realise that big money should be taken out of politics. We've seen the Conservatives drag their heels on the royalty issue. They waited 4 years before they put a report in. They're going to wait another year until they start actually working on a watered down recommendations from that report. And the Alberta people deserve to have their own voice. The NDP party is for the working man, the person who works 40 hours a week and volunteers. They want to help save them money, but better life for them, and make life better in general for the marginalised people and the poor. So I think that's one of the things we really should work on, is spreading the wealth around. It's just not right the way things are going. And if people want a voice, then they need to vote for the NDP, because we're the voice of the people.